Welcome to the Pierce County Medical Reserve Corps online training. Whether you're here to finish your requirements as a new volunteer or just want to learn more about our organization, welcome and thank you for being here. This online presentation was created in 2019. In this presentation, we will discuss the history of the MRC, the structure of our unit, your responsibilities as a volunteer, and some of the work we do, including emergency response, promoting personal preparedness across Pierce County, and supporting local communities. The Medical Reserve Corps was founded in the aftermath of the terrorist attacks on the United States in 2001. With the American public feeling especially vulnerable to foreign attacks, President George W. Bush took action to respond to the rising fear across the country. In his 2002 State of the Union address, he encouraged greater volunteerism and public service from American citizens. The USA Freedom Corps served as an umbrella organization for all service organizations under President Bush. After his State of the Union address, the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps programs, Senior Corps, and other civilian volunteer organizations saw one of their greatest periods of growth to date. One of the programs that sprouted from the formation of the Freedom Corps was Citizen Corps. Citizen Corps serves as the parent organization to Community Emergency Response Teams, or CERT, Fire Corps, Neighborhood Watch, Volunteers and Police Service, and the Medical Reserve Corps. Why would there be a need for the Medical Reserve Corps? Why not just join Citizen Corps? While the MRC does share many values with Citizen Corps, such as promoting personal preparedness, offering training to members, and teaching communities how to protect themselves from emergencies and harm, the MRC has additional medical and public health components that are not demonstrated in Citizen Corps. Why do we need the MRC? Here's a real example of why the MRC is an important and necessary organization. Following 9/11, volunteers showed up from everywhere to provide medical support to the areas affected by the attacks. This posed a major problem. No organization existed that conducted background checks, checked medical licenses prior to emergencies, or protected civilian responders acting within the scope of their medical licenses. The MRC provides the structure necessary to pre-identify, credential, train, and activate medical and public health volunteers in the time of an emergency or disaster. The National MRC is a multidisciplinary organization administered by the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Department of Health and Human Services. The mission of the Pierce County Medical Reserve Corps is to utilize dedicated volunteers to improve the public health, safety, preparedness, and emergency response capabilities in Pierce County. Although we're the Medical Reserve Corps, we also have non-medical roles that are essential to the functioning of our unit. This may come as a surprise, but almost 30% of our volunteers are non-medical or logistics volunteers and do not hold a medical credential. Our unit needs both medical and non-medical volunteers in order to carry out our mission. The requirements for joining our unit is to watch this orientation video, take our orientation quiz, and to complete 2 online courses through the Federal Emergency Management Administration, or FEMA. The 2 required courses are FEMA 100, Introduction to the Incident Command System, or ICS, and FEMA 700, an Introduction to the National Incident Management System, or NIMS. These courses and tests are free. Make sure to register for an account and get your student identification number. After the completion of these courses, FEMA will email you a certificate, which you will send to us to demonstrate your understanding of ICS and NIMS prior to volunteering. This page is what you will see before accessing the 100 course. Using the boxes on the right-hand side, you can access the test, register for an SID, and take the exam. Once we receive your application, we will run a background and medical credential check. Once you've completed all requirements to join, we will register you as an emergency worker in Pierce County. This covers you with liability and L&I insurance. We offer additional insurance coverage for volunteers who qualify through our Volunteer and Retired Provider Program with the Washington Healthcare Access Alliance. There are many advantages to joining the Pierce County MRC. If you are a medical provider and require contact hours, you may use this time to count towards your license. You also have access to trainings every year, such as Stop the Bleed, Mental Health First Aid, and Mass Vaccination Training. You will join a network of over 550 volunteers who share a commitment and passion for emergency preparedness and public health. Better yet, there are no requirements to remain an active volunteer. Some people register as a volunteer to only volunteer in the case of an emergency or disaster, while others are enthusiastic and volunteer frequently. Either choice is perfectly okay. Our Leadership Council is structured under the Incident Command System, which you will learn about in the FEMA 100 course. Along with our Leadership Council, the unit is directed by a Health Department employee. This person maintains a close relationship between the two organizations. Our Leadership Council meets monthly to plan the future and direction of our unit. If this is something you may be interested in, let us know. Our unit is very unique. The Pierce County MRC is hosted by the Health Department, but also maintains 501c3 nonprofit status and is a registered free clinic in Washington State. This flexibility allows us to work in the community on behalf of the Health Department, but also support other community partnerships and endeavors. Response with the MRC can look a number of ways. We have the ability to respond to diverse incidents. Anything from a catastrophic disaster to a local public health emergency is fair game. Being so closely connected with the Health Department and maintaining nonprofit and free clinic status allows us to support many agencies in the event of an emergency. The trainings that we offer throughout the year help support volunteers in their ability to respond to things that they may be unfamiliar with. Our unit could respond to all emergencies, whether that be natural, man-made, biological, etc. Pierce County Emergency Management has identified a list of hazards that residents are at risk to in Pierce County. These include abandoned underground mines, avalanche, civil disturbance, climate change, dam failure, drought, earthquake, energy emergency, epidemic, flooding, hazardous materials spill, landslide, pipelines, severe weather, terrorism, transportation accident, tsunami, volcanic hazard, and wildland urban interface fire. Each of these events can occur with varying levels of probability. In the event of an emergency or disaster, the MRC will likely be activated and expected to respond to each of these. Now is a good time to mention personal preparedness. It is absolutely essential to have a preparedness plan with your family and to practice it more than once. Without a plan, your ability to respond would be negatively affected. Preparedness plans help keep you, your family, and our communities safer. As a general rule, all families should have an out-of-area contact, preferably out of state, that everyone can call in case phone service is overwhelmed. Generally, texting should work in an emergency, but calling may not. Did you know that some guidelines say that you should be prepared for 3 weeks long? That includes a gallon of water per person per day, supplies, and non-perishable food. Don't forget pet food or your medications. Keeping cash in small denominations is also advised. Make sure to go through your materials yearly to replace expired or broken items and to have emergency kits in your home, car, and at work. Pierce County has been divided into 6 districts. These districts were created to anticipate which sections of the county would be cut off from one another in the event of a major catastrophic event. District 1, in pink, is divided from District 2 by the Puyallup River and the rest of the county by Mount Rainier National Park in dark green. District 2 is in blue. District 3 is in yellow and wraps around Joint Base Lewis McChord. District 4 is in purple, separated from the others by I-5 and 16. This district also encompasses some of the islands in the Sound. Here's District 5 in green, separated from the other districts by major roadways, and District 6, separated from the others by the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Were you able to identify the district that you live in? What about where you work? What about where your kids go to school or where your parents live? These boundaries are important to think about when we look at what parts of the county would be cut off from one another. Joint Base Lewis McChord and Mount Rainier National Park are not part of any district because they are federal lands. Situated in each of our districts are the Medical Reserve Corps trailers. These trailers have been strategically placed across the county to be accessed in the event of an emergency. We understand that after an incident, the MRC will not be your first priority. We expect you to locate and care for your family first, respond to your workplace second, and then choose to respond with the Medical Reserve Corps. We expect that initially you may not be able to offer support. In smaller scale, less devastating incidents, however, we hope that you would be able to respond if called upon. The MRC can be activated by Tacoma-Pierce County Health Department, the city, emergency management, the state, or by national organizations. When we are activated, we sit within the incident command system. Normally, we will do mass email communication to request volunteers. We also may send out a mass text message alert. In the event of a devastating disaster wiping out infrastructure, you may report to the health department if it is safe to do so, and we will coordinate response from there. In the event of an emergency, do not self-report. If we are requesting your service, we will reach out to you and coordinate your response. Self-reporting hurts the response process because it becomes difficult to coordinate people who just show up on scene. We also need to maintain a reserve of volunteers who can relieve the first shift of responders. As an emergency worker, make sure you are aware of your physical and emotional limits, your training limits, and your personal comfort level. If you are unsure of anything, ask your supervisor. Just-in-time training may be available to you on site, as well as other support if needed. Aside from emergency preparedness, the Medical Reserve Corps does a number of community events throughout the year. This is an important part of our mission. Community outreach helps improve resiliency and the capabilities of our neighborhoods across the county. Partnerships help build trust among residents so that we are all better prepared. Some examples of community work that we have done are adult and pediatric immunization clinics, Project Homeless Connect, first aid at events like the Seattle to Portland Bicycle Classic and at fundraisers, providing internships for nursing and public health students, respite care for discharged hospital patients, and providing a medical explorer program to high school students. As a reminder, volunteers must fill out an application, take both FEMA courses in their respective exams, and watch our orientation video and complete the orientation quiz. If you are looking to broaden your understanding of emergency response, FEMA courses such as 200 and 800 would be beneficial as well. In the meantime, we will process your information and register you as an emergency worker. Thank you for watching this orientation video. If you are a new volunteer, please take the orientation quiz to demonstrate your understanding of the Pierce County MRC.